What is up guys, Eric here from Real Film Reviews bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Josh Trank film, Fantastic Four. Now, Fox still owns the right to Fantastic Four, so this is their second go at trying to make these characters cool. Was it a success? Was it a failure? It's a failure. Now, going into Fantastic Four, I had pretty medium expectations. It was on my top 10 most anticipated films list for this year, but the first trailer really got me going, but then as time went on, the marketing department started to make some moves that I felt were kind of strange, and it slowly but surely lowered and lowered my expectations to where I thought maybe it'll still be mediocre. Let me tell you, it wasn't even mediocre. Now before I start shredding on Fantastic Four, I will talk about a few of the pros with the movie. There weren't many, but there were some. Now the main pros I have is that most of the cast, Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan for sure, they did the best they could with the script they were given. Their characters didn't get that much like real heart to them. There wasn't much funny banter in the movie or anything, but they did the best with what they had. Pretty much everyone did. And that's not saying much, but they tried their hardest, which is admirable. Now the other pros are the effects. The Thing and Miles Teller as Mr. Fantastic, his stretching ability. The stretching ability looked good in some scenes, and in other scenes it was kind of eh. The Thing looked okay. I don't know if I like it better than the other Fantastic Four movies. The other one looked weird because it was all practical. This one looks weird because it's all CGI. So they need to kind of find a middle ground. But the Invisible Woman and the Human Torch looked great, and so did Dr. Doom. The Human Torch especially was impressive. The way they did his eyes and his mouth looked super cool. And then the only other pros I really have for this movie is they actually went pretty dark with it. It went a little too dark, maybe, in that it didn't have any real lightheartedness to it whatsoever. Now, Nolan's Batman movies didn't really have those lighthearted feeling to them, but they did have those moments where it felt a little more lighthearted. This one tried to have moments like that, but they just fell flat. And the only other pro I have for this film is that Josh Trank created what actually ended up being a pretty cool villain that we barely got to see. When Doom finally became Doom and we got to see him, he was actually super cool, but we barely got to see him in the movie, so it kind of negates the fact that you made a cool villain, Josh Trank, and you need to learn that if you make someone cool, you can put him in the movie for longer. This movie's only an hour and 40 minutes long. You could have easily added 20 more minutes and added so much more to these characters and given us way more scenes of action and them using their powers. Which that's what brings me into the cons. This movie's pacing is horrendous. This movie didn't know what the hell it was making. They take these characters, they introduce in the movie, they spend like 20 minutes at the beginning of this movie on Reed Richards and Ben Grimm as kids. No one cares about them as kids. Sure, he's a child genius, but I don't care about it. Show me he's a genius. Fast forward it to modern day because I want to see them become the Fantastic Four. This movie took more than half of the runtime to give them their powers, and then once they finally had their powers, we barely even got to see much of a showcase of them. The Thing is the person we got to see the most, which, I mean, we didn't even get to see a lot of him. It was a lot of like background shots of things the Thing had done. And the Human Torch looked really cool, but we didn't get to see him do that much. The Invisible Woman, her powers make it so you don't really see her do that much, but what you do see is actually fairly cool. I'll give her that. And then Miles Teller as Mr. Fantastic, we don't get to see a ton of those stretchy moments. We get to see a few, but even then his stretchy moments don't look that good. And that's the thing. The special effects in this movie, the green screen for backgrounds, looked pretty rough in some of these scenes. And then some of the sequences where the CGI is very needed for the scene, it looks so fake and buttery, like it doesn't look like it got fully rendered or something. And I don't understand why you would put this movie in theaters looking the way it did, because they had to have given him a pretty big budget. I don't understand why Josh Trank would have made these decisions that he made. The main issue with Fantastic Four, though, is the script. The script for this movie is garbage. It just doesn't work. There's very few comic relief lines because it's building itself to be this dark superhero film, and the lines that they do put in, there's maybe 2 or 3 that make you kind of laugh just like a little, but not like a lot. Like, it's not like a real comic relief line. It's just like, oh yeah, I guess that's kind of funny. And the script just felt real convoluted, and there was stuff that was in one moment, and then 10 minutes later the movie was completely gone. And it was stuff where it was just like, okay, they made a point to put a line in the script about something with that, and then literally 5 minutes later in the movie, that thing doesn't exist. And I mean, they're never really big plot points. A couple of, well, there was one that was kind of, but most of them were just little things in the script that had to do with the characters, something they were doing, something they were wearing, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, now that we ran out of money, we couldn't have them have that in the next scene, so we just kind of got rid of it and decided not to explain it to you. Like, what? Why? Where did that come from? This movie was really a sad attempt at a dark superhero movie. It didn't have that real weight to it. You didn't feel anything for these characters. It really feels like Fox rushed out another reboot of the Fantastic Four so that way they could hold on to the rights a little bit longer. But honestly, this movie's not good enough to deserve the sequel that they already have planned on IMDb, which is really worrying that they expected this to do that well. So chances are, I don't see Fox wanting to make that sequel, and I don't see them wanting to try to reboot it a third time. So if I had to guess, they'll take the loss and just ship the rights over to the people who should have it, which is Marvel, so they can incorporate it into their universe. But that is also not that good, because then Marvel has to add another character, just like they did with Spider-Man, so that might mess up their whole lineup of movies again. But whatever, I'm not going to worry about it. This movie was bad, and that's not good. I feel like Fox hired Josh Trank because he was the director of Chronicle, which is a superpower film, and they thought, ooh, he made a gritty, dark, superpower movie, he can do that for us. Guess what we'll do? We'll get a cast of indie sweethearts just like he did for his movie, and then he can make us a nice, gritty superhero movie and everyone will love us again. Well, he made you maybe 20 minutes of a gritty superhero movie, but overall, this movie failed at what it was attempting to do, and it's kind of sad, but I think everyone will bounce back from it. In terms of acting, Josh Trank, I don't know how you're gonna do. You have nothing planned in your IMDb, which is worrying. Fantastic Four was a huge disappointment, and I can't really recommend to anybody to go see it unless you are just a massive Fantastic Four fan. I'm gonna give it a C-. The movie was just boring and poorly written. I don't really see what Trank was thinking with the script that he wrote. I personally didn't love Chronicle, but I still could respect it as a pretty good movie with some interesting camera work. But this movie just felt bland and boring, and it just did not feel like it had any heart behind it. It fell flat, and it's going to fall flat in the box office, and it's already fallen flat with most critics. And I'm worried that Fox might still try to hold on to these rights and try to make some sort of mashup with the X-Men, or actually try to throw that sequel out there. Which the thing is with the way this movie ended, I feel like you could actually make a semi-entertaining sequel because of a lot of the moments in this movie that are there that could lead to something interesting in the future. So maybe they'll hold on to them. I don't see them doing it. Sony got rid of Spider-Man and they held on to that forever. And they had a reboot and 2 sequels, so maybe they'll go for the second sequel and see if they can redeem it just like Spider-Man did, but I doubt it. As always, guys, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed, please do like, subscribe, check out everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, comment down below what you thought of Fantastic Four, and I hope to see you guys later.